The incident. The sleek diplomatic vessel Harmony glided through the inky void of space, its polished hull reflecting the distant starlight. Inside, Ambassador Elena Reyes adjusted her formal attire, a mix of nervousness and excitement coursing through her. This mission to the Zarthian Empire could change the course of human history, the first official diplomatic contact between Earth and the most powerful alien civilization humanity had encountered. "Mom, are we there yet?" The young voice of her son Marco broke through her thoughts. Elena smiled, turning to face the bright-eyed 10-year-old who had insisted on accompanying her on this historic journey. "Almost, sweetheart. Remember what we talked about. This is a very important meeting. The Zarthians are different from us. We need to be on our best behavior." Marco nodded solemnly, his small hand clutching a gift, a carefully crafted model of the solar system, a peace offering from humanity to their new galactic neighbors. Elena felt a swell of pride. Her son understood the gravity of the situation, even at his young age. Captain Jameson's voice crackled over the ship's intercom. "Ambassador, we're approaching the Zarthian diplomatic station. Prepare for docking procedures." Elena took a deep breath, squeezing Marco's hand. "This is it, kiddo. Let's make Earth proud." The Harmony smoothly docked with the massive Zarthian station, a structure that dwarfed the human vessel. As the airlock cycled, Elena straightened her shoulders, projecting an aura of calm confidence. The doors hissed open, revealing a delegation of Zarthians. Elena's eyes widened slightly. Despite extensive briefings, seeing the aliens in person was breathtaking. The Zarthians towered over the humans, their iridescent scales shimmering under the station's lights. Multiple arms moved with fluid grace, and compound eyes regarded the human delegation with inscrutable expressions. "Greetings, representatives of Earth," the lead Zarthian's voice resonated, a harmonic blend of tones that seemed to bypass ears and speak directly to the mind. "I am High Counselor Zaxlath. We welcome you to Zarthian space." Elena bowed slightly, careful to follow the protocol she'd studied for months. "High Counselor, I am Ambassador Elena Reyes of Earth. We come in peace and friendship, hoping to forge a lasting alliance between our peoples." Marco stepped forward, holding up the solar system model with a mixture of awe and determination. "This is for you," he said, his young voice clear and strong. "It's our home." For a moment, silence filled the docking bay. Then, to Elena's relief, Zaxlath's mouthparts curved in what she hoped was a smile. One of the Zarthian's lower arms reached out, gently taking the gift from Marco. "A thoughtful gesture, young one," Zaxlath said. "Come, let us move to more comfortable surroundings for our discussions." As they walked through the station's winding corridors, Elena marveled at the alien architecture. Organic curves blended seamlessly with advanced technology, creating an environment both beautiful and slightly unsettling to human eyes. They entered a vast chamber, its ceiling lost in shadows high above. A long table of some pearlescent material dominated the center, surrounded by seats designed to accommodate both human and Zarthian physiology. As pleasantries were exchanged and the formal negotiations began, Elena felt a growing sense of unease. Something in the Zarthians' demeanor seemed off. Their responses were cordial, but there was an underlying tension she couldn't quite place. Hours passed, and progress seemed frustratingly slow. Elena called for a brief recess, needing a moment to collect her thoughts and confer with her team. As they huddled in a corner of the chamber, Marco tugged at her sleeve. "Mom, I don't like this," he whispered. "They keep looking at us funny." Elena knelt down, meeting her son's worried gaze. "I know, sweetie. Diplomacy can be tricky, but we're making progress. Just a little longer, okay?" As they turned to rejoin the Zarthian delegation, a commotion erupted near the chamber's entrance. Elena's blood ran cold as she saw several heavily armed Zarthian soldiers burst into the room, their weapons trained on the human delegation. "What is the meaning of this?" Elena demanded, instinctively pushing Marco behind her. "We came here in peace," High Counselor Zaxlath's voice cut through the chaos, no longer harmonious but sharp and cold. Peace. You humans speak of peace while your kind spreads through the galaxy like a virus. We've seen the reports of your rapid expansion, your insatiable hunger for resources. Did you think we would stand idly by as you devoured world after world? Elena's mind raced. There had to be a misunderstanding. High Counselor, please. Whatever reports you've seen are mistaken. We seek only peaceful coexistence, not conquest. But her words fell on deaf ears. The Zarthian soldiers advanced, their alien weapons humming with deadly energy. In the confusion that followed, Elena lost sight of Marco. Her heart pounded as she searched frantically for her son amidst the chaos of fleeing diplomats and shouting Zarthians. A scream pierced the air, a young, terrified scream that Elena would recognize anywhere. Time seemed to slow as she turned, her eyes locking onto a scene that would haunt her for the rest of her days. Marco, her beautiful, brave boy, lay crumpled on the chamber floor. A Zarthian soldier stood over him, weapons still glowing from discharge. The child's eyes, once so full of wonder and hope, stared blankly at the alien ceiling. Elena's anguished cry echoed through the chamber, a primal sound of loss and rage that transcended language. She lunged forward, all thoughts of diplomacy forgotten in her grief. "Restrain them," Zaxlath ordered. "This changes nothing. The humans must be taught their place in the galaxy." As Elena fought against the Zarthian soldiers, her tears falling freely, a part of her knew that this moment would change everything. The death of an innocent child, a diplomatic mission turned to tragedy. The consequences would ripple across the stars. In the following hours, as the surviving members of the human delegation were unceremoniously ejected from Zarthian space, Elena's grief turned to a cold, hard resolve. She clutched Marco's broken body, ignoring the pitying looks from her staff. "Send a message to Earth," she commanded, her voice hoarse but unwavering. Tell them everything, and tell them to prepare for war." As the Harmony limped back towards Earth, carrying news that would shake human civilization to its core, the stars themselves seemed to dim. In the vast, uncaring expanse of the galaxy, a spark had been lit, a spark that would soon explode into a conflagration of vengeance and retribution. Humanity had extended a hand in peace, only to have it slapped away in the cruelest manner possible. Now, as Elena gazed out at the starfield, cradling the body of her son, she knew that the galaxy would soon learn a harsh lesson. Humanity's capacity for love was matched only by its capacity for righteous fury. The Zarthian Empire had made a grave miscalculation. They had killed a human child, and soon they would face the full, terrible wrath of a species with nothing left to lose. As the Harmony's engines pushed the ship ever faster towards Earth, Elena made a silent vow. Marco's death would not be in vain. She would see the Zarthian Empire brought to its knees, whatever the cost. The galaxy would remember this day not as the end of human innocence, but as the beginning of a reckoning that would reshape the very fabric of interstellar civilization. The stars blurred as the ship entered FTL, carrying its grim cargo and even grimmer news packed to a humanity blissfully unaware of the storm that was about to break upon them. But soon, very soon, every human would know the name Marco Reyes, and the name of the empire that had sealed its own fate with a single unforgivable act, the Hammer of Sol. The news of Marco Reyes' death spread across Earth like wildfire, igniting a firestorm of grief, rage, and an unquenchable thirst for vengeance. Within days, the planet transformed from a bastion of interstellar diplomacy to the epicenter of the greatest military buildup in human history. Operation Stardust, as it came to be known, was unprecedented in its scope and ambition. Every shipyard, factory, and research lab on Earth and its colonies were commandeered for a single purpose: to forge a fleet capable of bringing the Zarthian Empire to its knees. At the heart of this titanic effort was the Hammer of Sol, humanity's answer to Zarthian aggression. This was no ordinary warship. It was a feat of engineering that pushed the boundaries of human ingenuity and the laws of physics themselves. Dr. Ariana Chen, Earth's foremost expert in quantum mechanics and faster-than-light travel, stood before a holographic display of the hammer's schematics. Her eyes, rimmed with dark circles from countless sleepless nights, gleamed with a mixture of pride and trepidation. "Ladies and gentlemen of the United Earth Council," she began, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility on her shoulders, "I present to you the culmination of Project Prometheus, the Hammer of Soul." The hologram expanded, filling the council chamber with a ghostly blue light. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the assembled leaders as they beheld the ship in all its terrible glory. The Hammer of Soul defied conventional starship design. Instead of a single massive hull, it consisted of 3 colossal rings, each rotating independently around a central axis. Energy asked between the rings, creating a scintillating web of power that crackled with barely contained fury. The 3 rings represent past, present, and future, Dr. Chen explained. But they're more than symbolic. Each ring houses a temporal displacement engine, allowing the hammer to exist in 3 phases of space-time simultaneously. She manipulated the hologram, zooming in on key systems. "This gives us unprecedented tactical advantages. The hammer can fire weapons that haven't been built yet, deploy shields to intercept attacks before they're launched, and calculate battlefield outcomes with perfect accuracy." A grizzled admiral leaned forward, his cybernetic eye whirring as it focused on the display. "And you're certain this won't tear a hole in the fabric of reality?" Dr. Chen's lips quirked in a humorless smile. "Admiral, the Zarthians tore a hole in reality the moment they murdered an innocent child. We're simply reaching through that hole to deliver justice." The council chamber erupted in fierce debate. Some argued that the hammer was too dangerous, that humanity risked becoming the very monster they sought to destroy. Others insisted that no measure was too extreme in the face of Zarthian aggression. As the arguments raged, a quiet figure rose from her seat at the end of the table. Ambassador Elena Reyes, her face etched with lines of grief and determination, raised a hand for silence. The room fell hushed, all eyes turning to the woman who had lost everything. "I've seen the face of our enemy," Elena said, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. "I've watched them murder my child without hesitation or remorse. If we hesitate now, if we allow our fears to stay our hand, then Marco died for nothing." She strode to the hologram, her hand passing through the shimmering image of the hammer. "This ship, this weapon, it's not just about vengeance. It's about securing a future where no human child ever suffers Marco's fate again. I say we build it. I say we use it. And I say we show the Zarthians and every other race in this galaxy that humanity will not be trifled with." A moment of silence followed her words. Then, slowly at first but with growing momentum, applause filled the chamber. The decision was made. Operation Stardust would proceed at full throttle. In the months that followed, Earth became a hive of feverish activity. The Hammer of Soul was only the spearhead of humanity's new fleet. 500,000 dreadnoughts, each a miracle of engineering in its own right, took shape in orbital shipyards that ringed the planet like a glittering halo. But it wasn't just ships that were being forged in the fires of human resolve. A new generation of soldiers was being trained, equipped with exoskeletons that blurred the line between man and machine. Planetary defense grids were upgraded, colonies fortified, and diplomatic channels with other alien races were opened in a frantic search for allies against the Zarthian threat. Through it all, Elena Reyes became the face of humanity's defiance. Her speeches rallied the people, her unwavering conviction a beacon in the darkness of interstellar war. She oversaw the fleet's preparation personally, pouring every ounce of her grief and rage into creating an armada that would shake the very stars. As the day of reckoning approached, tension gripped the solar system. The fleet gathered at the edge of Earth's gravity well, a sight that filled observers with equal parts awe and terror. 500,000 warships, gleaming in the pale light of the distant sun, waited for the order that would unleash them upon an unsuspecting galaxy. Aboard the Hammer of Soul, now her flagship, Elena stood on the bridge. The ship hummed with power, the temporal engines sending shivers through reality itself. She gazed at the main view screen, where a real-time feed showed the vast armada stretching out to the horizon and beyond. A communications officer turned to her, hand pressed to his earpiece. "Ambassador, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. It's a joint statement from every nation, every colony. They're singing, ma'am." Elena closed her eyes as the sound filled the bridge. Millions of voices, united in harmony, sang an ancient hymn of battle and remembrance. The Song of the Fallen, it would later be called, a requiem for Marco, and a war cry for humanity. As the last notes faded, Elena opened her eyes. They blazed with an inner fire that matched the fury of the ship around her. "Send word to the fleet," she commanded. "Operation Stardust begins now." With a gesture that would be immortalized in 1,000 works of art, Elena Reyes gave the order. The hammer of souls surged forward, its temporal engines warping space and time. In its wake, 500,000 dreadnoughts leaped into the void, their drives painting the sky with the light of 1,000,000 suns. Humanity had been pushed to the brink, forced to reach deep into the wellspring of its potential. Now, that potential was unleashed in a tidal wave of retribution that would reshape the galaxy. The Zarthian Empire had sown the wind with their cruel act. Now, they would reap the whirlwind. As the fleet vanished into the depths of space, Earth held its breath. The war for humanity's future had begun, and the universe would never be the same again. The quantum blitzkrieg. The vast emptiness of space erupted in a dazzling display of light as humanity's armada tore through the fabric of reality. At the forefront, the hammer of soul pulsed with otherworldly energy, its 3 massive rings facing in and out of existence as it manipulated the very essence of spacetime. Admiral Zara Vega, her dark eyes gleaming with fierce determination, stood at the helm of the flagship. A holographic display before her showed the real-time positions of Earth's 500,000 dreadnoughts, each represented by a pinpoint of light in a 3-dimensional star map. "Quantum jump complete," Admiral, her AI assistant, ARIA, reported. "We've bypassed all known Zarthian defenses. They have no idea we're here." Zara allowed herself a grim smile. The element of surprise was theirs, thanks to the revolutionary quantum blitzkrieg strategy she had developed. It was a tactic that defied conventional warfare, leveraging the mind-bending properties of quantum entanglement to coordinate an attack across vast distances instantaneously. "Initiate Phase 1, Zara commanded, her voice steady despite the weight of history pressing down upon her. "Let's show these Zarthian bastards what happens when you wake the sleeping giant of humanity." Across the fleet, soldiers and crew members tensed in anticipation. Years of training, fueled by righteous anger and the memory of young Marco Reyes, had led to this moment. In the blink of an eye, Earth's armada materialized around key Zarthian worlds and installations. The sudden appearance of 500,000 warships sent shockwaves through the Zarthian Empire. Panic spread like wildfire as their much-vaunted defense networks proved useless against an enemy that could ignore the very laws of physics. Aboard the Zarthian capital ship, Eternal Dominion, Emperor Xarkoth received the news with disbelief. His multiple hearts raced as reports flooded in from across his empire. Impossible. He roared, his scaled skin flushing with a mix of fear and rage. How could they have bypassed our sensor nets? Where did they get such technology? His advisors cowered before him, their usual arrogance replaced by sheer terror. "My Emperor," one dared to speak, "it appears the humans have developed some form of instantaneous travel. Our fleets are scattered, our defenses unprepared. We are vulnerable." Xarkoth's compound eyes narrowed. "Launch everything we have. I want those human vermin wiped from the face of the galaxy." But it was already too late. Back on the Hammer of Soul, Zara watched with grim satisfaction as the battle unfolded. Aeria's emotionless voice provided a steady stream of updates. Zarthian military installations on Proxima Centauri B neutralized. Shipyards in the Epsilon Eridani system destroyed. Defense platforms around Tal Ceti disabled. Zara nodded, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. Initiate Phase 2. Deploy the Chronoshock troopers. Across the battlefield, specially modified drop pods detached from Earth's dreadnoughts. Inside each, a squad of elite soldiers prepared for combat like none other in history. Their advanced exoskeletons hummed with temporal energy, allowing them to perceive and move through time in ways that defied comprehension. As the pods streaked towards Zarthian worlds, the troops inside focused their minds, reaching out with senses far beyond normal human perception. They could see the ebb and flow of time itself, plotting paths through the chaos of battle that would be invisible to their enemies. The pods crashed through Zarthian defenses, scattering across the alien landscapes. As they burst open, the Chronoshock troopers emerged like avenging angels, their movements a blow of impossible speed and precision. To the Zarthian defenders, it was a nightmare beyond imagining. Human soldiers appeared and disappeared at will, striking with devastating effect before vanishing again. Some seemed to move in reverse, wounds healing and ammunition replenishing as they fought. Others split into multiple temporal copies, overwhelming their foes with sheer impossible numbers. On a dozen worlds, in 100 battles, the story was the same. Humanity's wrath, tempered by grief, and forged in the fires of technological revolution, proved unstoppable. But even as victory seemed within grasp, a new threat emerged. Deep in the heart of Zarthian space, on a planet shrouded in secrecy, a weapon of terrifying power stirred to life. Aria's voice cut through the euphoria of imminent victory. "Admiral, we're detecting a massive energy buildup in the Zarthian home system. Readings are off the charts. It's like nothing we've ever seen before." Zora's blood ran cold. "Show me," she ordered. The holographic display shifted, zooming in on a massive orbital installation. At its heart, a swirling vortex of dark energy pulsed with malevolent purpose. "By all that's holy," Zara whispered. "What have they built?" As if in answer, a beam of pure darkness lanced out from the Zarthian weapon. It struck one of Earth's dreadnoughts, and the massive warship simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no debris. It was as if it had never been there at all. Gravitational singularity projector, AOI analyzed. It's creating localized black holes, erasing our ships from existence. Zora's mind raced. This changed everything. All their careful planning, all their technological advantages, none of it had accounted for a weapon that could rewrite reality itself. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," she barked. "Redirect all available power to temporal shielding. We need to find a way to neutralize that weapon before it tears our fleet apart." As the battle took this deadly new turn, Zora couldn't help but think of young Marco Reyes. His death had sparked this war, and now the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. The quantum blitzkrieg had brought humanity to the brink of victory, but the Zarthians had revealed a final terrible card. As the void of space lit up with the fury of two species fighting for survival, one thing became clear. This war would not end until one side was utterly, irrevocably destroyed, and the galaxy itself might not survive the conflict. Singularity's edge. The vast expanse of space warped and twisted as the Zarthian singularity weapon tore through reality itself. Admiral Zara Vega watched in horror as more of Earth's mighty dreadnoughts vanished into nothingness, erased from existence by the terrifying device. AOIA analysis. Zara barked, her fingers flying over holographic controls as she desperately maneuvered the hammer of soul away from another devastating blast. The A's voice remained calm, a stark contrast to the chaos unfolding around them. "The weapon appears to be powered by an artificial quantum singularity, Admiral. It's manipulating the fabric of spacetime on a scale we've never encountered before." Zora's mind raced. They needed a solution, and fast. "Can we counter it?" "Negative," Aoia replied. "Our temporal shielding is barely holding. We lack the raw power toe." Suddenly, the A's voice cut off, replaced by a burst of static. The holographic displays flickered and died, plunging the bridge into darkness. "Status report," Zara shouted, her heart pounding. Emergency lights bathed the bridge in an eerie red glow as systems slowly came back online. Lieutenant Kira Chen, her face pale but determined, looked up from her console. "Admiral, we've been hit by some kind of quantum backlash. Most systems are offline, but—" She paused, her eyes widening in disbelief. "Ma'am, you need to see this." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a sight that defied comprehension. The space around the Hammer of Soul was fractured. Reality itself seemed to be cracking, revealing glimpses of other timelines, other possibilities. By all the stars, Zara breathed. "What's happening?" Peria's holographic avatar materialized, its form glitching and unstable. "Admiral, the collision of our temporal field and the Zarthian weapon has created a cascade effect. We're experiencing a localized breakdown of causality." "English, AOR," Zara snapped. "We're trapped in a bubble of fractured time," the AI explained. "Past, present, and future are colliding, but this also presents an opportunity." Zara leaned forward, hope kindling in her eyes. "Go on. If we can stabilize the temporal field and navigate through these fractures, we could potentially access alternate timelines. Timelines where we might find the key to defeating the Zarthian weapon." It was a desperate plan, fraught with unimaginable risk. But as Zara looked at the faces of her crew, saw the determination in their eyes, she knew they had no choice. "Do it," she ordered. The Hammer of Soul shuddered as its temporal engines roared to life. The view screen became a kaleidoscope of possibilities as they plunged into the chaotic sea of fractured time. They witnessed glimpses of 1,000 possible futures. A timeline where humanity had become a benevolent galactic power, guiding younger races with wisdom and compassion. Another where Earth lay in ruins, its population enslaved by the victorious Zarthians. Yet another where humans and Zarthians had set aside their differences, working together to face an even greater threat. With each jump, the ship's systems strained to breaking point. Crew members cried out in pain as conflicting memories assaulted their minds, the weight of 1,000 possible lives threatening to overwhelm them. But through it all, Zara remained focused on their goal. "We need to find a timeline where we defeated that weapon," she growled through gritted teeth. "Keep searching." Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. Lieutenant Chen's voice was tight with fear. "Admiral, the temporal stress is tearing the ship apart. We can't take much more of this." Zara's hands clenched into fists. They were so close she could feel it. Just one more jump. "There." Aria's voice cut through the chaos. "I found it." The view screen stabilized, showing a familiar yet subtly different version of their own timeline. In this reality, Earth's fleet hovered triumphant over a shattered Zarthian homeworld. The dreaded singularity weapon drifted powerless in space, its threat neutralized. "How?" Zara demanded. "How did they do it?" Aria's avatar expanded, displaying schematics of a device unlike anything Zara had ever seen. In this timeline, humanity developed a quantum resonance inverter. It uses the power of our own temporal engines to create a feedback loop, turning the Zarthian weapon's power against itself. Hope surged through Zara's veins. "Can we build it?" Aoya nodded. "With the data from this timeline, yes. But we'll need to return to our own reality first." Zara straightened her uniform, her voice ringing with newfound determination. "Then let's go home and finish this war." The journey back through the fractured timelines was even more harrowing than their initial plunge. The Hammer of Soul groaned and buckled, pushed far beyond its design limits. But finally, with a reality-shaking lurch, they emerged back into their own timeline. The scene that greeted them was grim. Earth's once mighty fleet was in tatters, barely holding the line against the Zarthian onslaught. The singularity weapon pulsed ominously, preparing for another devastating attack. All hands, battle stations, Zara roared. Engineering, I need that quantum resonance inverter online 5 minutes ago. What followed was a frantic race against time. As the remnants of Earth's fleet fought desperately to hold off the Zarthian advance, the crew of the Hammer of Sol worked with feverish intensity to construct their last, best hope for victory. Warning klaxons blared as the Singularity weapon powered up for what could be a final devastating strike. Zara watched the energy readings climb with growing dread. Admiral, Aruaya's voice was unnaturally subdued. The weapon will fire in 30 seconds. The inverter is not yet ready. Zara closed her eyes, thinking of all the lives depending on them. Of young Marco Reyes, whose death had started this war. Of the countless possible futures she had glimpsed. Her eyes snapped open, blazing with determination. Divert all power to the temporal engines. We're going to buy ourselves some time. The Hammer of Sol surged forward, its 3 massive rings spinning faster and faster. As the Zarthian weapon fired, Zara gave an order that would echo through history. Now. The ship's temporal field expanded explosively, enveloping the beam of destructive energy. For a moment that stretched into eternity, 2 impossible technologies grappled for supremacy. Then, with a silent flash that seared itself into the minds of all who witnessed it, both the Hammer of Sol and the Singularity weapon vanished. Silence fell across the battlefield as both human and Zarthian forces stared in disbelief at the empty space where the 2 titans had been. Seconds ticked by, then minutes. Just as hope began to fade, reality itself seemed to hiccup. With a thunderous boom that shook the very fabric of spacetime, the Hammer of Sol reappeared. But it was changed. Its hull now bore the scars of 1,000 years of battle, compressed into a single impossible moment, and clutched in its temporal fields was the smoldering wreck of the Zarthian superweapon. Zara's voice, aged by centuries yet unbroken, rang out across all frequencies. Attention, Zarthian Empire. Your weapon is destroyed. Your fleets are in ruins. Surrender now, or face utter annihilation. As the Zarthian Emperor's voice shakily declared his unconditional surrender, shears erupted across what remained of Earth's fleet. Against all odds, humanity had snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. But for Admiral Zara Vega and the crew of the Hammer of Sol, the war had lasted an eternity. They had witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the birth and death of stars, all in the space between moments. As the adrenaline of battle faded, Zara slumped in her command chair, feeling the weight of countless years. "Oh, aye," she said softly, "set a course for Earth. It's time to go home." The Hammer of Sol turned ponderously, its temporal engines pulsing one last time. As they limped towards home, Zara gazed out at the star-studded void, forever changed by what she had experienced. The war was over, but its echoes would resonate through time itself, a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity and the terrible price of victory. Echoes of eternity. The Hammer of Sol materialized in Earth's orbit, its scarred and time-worn hull a stark contrast to the gleaming fleet that had left just days ago. Or was it eons? Admiral Zara Vega stood on the bridge, her once raven hair now streaked with silver, her eyes holding the wisdom of countless lifetimes. As news of their return spread, the quantum communications network exploded with activity. Every screen on Earth lit up with the same message: "They're back. The war is over. We've won." But victory, Zara knew, came at a price few could comprehend. "Our," she called out, her voice carrying the weight of centuries, "initiate Protocol Omega." It's time they knew the truth. The A's holographic form flickered to life, its appearance now a swirling vortex of data, rather than its once humanoid shape. "Admiral, are you certain? The implications could be severe." Zara nodded sullenly. "They need to know. All of it." Across the globe, in every home and public square, holographic projectors hummed to life. The face of Admiral Vega, aged beyond her years, appeared before a stunned humanity. "Citizens of Earth," she began, her voice echoing across continents and colonies alike, "the Zarthian threat has been neutralized. But our victory was not won in days, nor even years. For the crew of the Hammer of Sol, this war lasted millennia." A collective gasp rippled through the global audience as Zara recounted their journey through fractured time. She spoke of countless alternate realities, of futures both wondrous and horrifying, of civilizations rising and falling in the blink of an eye, and of the terrible knowledge they had gained. "In our quest to save humanity," Zara continued, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears, "we witnessed the heat death of 1,000 universes. We saw timelines where our victory led to unimaginable horrors, and others where our defeat paved the way for transcendent peace." The silence that followed was deafening. Humanity stood on the precipice of a paradigm shift, the implications of Zara's words slowly sinking in. "But we also learned something profound." Zara's voice softened, a hint of hope creeping in. "The universe is vaster and stranger than we ever imagined, and humanity's potential is limitless." With a gesture, Zara activated a holographic display that expanded to encompass the Earth. It showed a shimmering web of temporal energy connecting every human being in a vast, pulsing network. "During our journey," she explained, "we discovered that humanity possesses a unique quantum resonance. Each of us is a living tuning fork, vibrating in harmony with the fundamental forces of the cosmos. This is the true source of our strength, the reason we were able to challenge the Zarthians and emerge victorious." The display zoomed out, revealing Earth as a nexus point in a vast, multidimensional tapestry. "We are not alone in the universe," Zara continued, "but we are singular. Our ability to manipulate time and space, to bend reality to our will, it's not just technology, it's who we are." As the implications of her words sank in, a new emotion began to spread through the global audience. Awe. The realization that each of them carried within them the power to shape reality itself was almost too much to comprehend. "But with great power comes great responsibility," Zara cautioned, her tone grave. "We've seen futures where we became the very monsters we sought to defeat, where our fear and anger twisted us into something unrecognizable." The holographic display shifted, showing glimpses of these dark futures. Earth as a burned-out husk, humanity transformed into beings of pure energy waging war across galaxies, civilizations crumbling under the weight of temporal paradoxes. "We stand at a crossroads," Zara declared. "The knowledge and power we've gained could usher in an era of unprecedented peace and prosperity, or it could lead us down a path of unimaginable destruction." The Admiral's eyes seemed to meet those of every person watching, her gaze intense and unwavering. "The choice is ours, all of ours. Every decision we make, every action we take, ripples across time and space. We're all connected, all responsible for the future we create." As Zara's words hung in the air, something extraordinary began to happen. The quantum resonance network pulsed with newfound energy. Across the globe, people reported strange sensations, flashes of insight, glimpses of possible futures, a deep and profound connection to everyone around them. "This is our gift to you," Zara said, a sad smile playing on her lips. "And our burden. The crew of the Hammer of Sol sacrificed everything to bring this knowledge back. Many of us will never be the same, but we did it so that humanity might have a chance at a future brighter than anything we could have imagined." The holographic display expanded one last time, showing a vision of breathtaking beauty. Earth at the center of a vast, peaceful federation of worlds. Humans and aliens working side by side, exploring the farthest reaches of the cosmos. Time and space bent to the will of a humanity that had grown wise and compassionate. "This future is possible," Zara said, her voice filled with conviction. "But it's up to all of us to make it a reality. The war is over. The real work begins now." As the transmission ended, a profound silence fell over the Earth. In homes, in offices, in the streets, people stood motionless, grappling with the enormity of what they had learned. Then, Slowly at first, but with growing momentum, a new sound began to rise. It started as a whisper, grew to a murmur, and finally swelled into a global chorus of voices raised in unity. The Song of Awakening, it would later be called. A spontaneous outpouring of humanity's newfound connection, a harmony that transcended language and culture. It was a promise, a declaration of intent, to use their newfound power wisely, to heal rather than harm, to explore rather than conquer. As the song reached its crescendo, the quantum resonance network blazed with energy. For a brief, shining moment, every human being on Earth and beyond was connected, their minds and hearts beating as one. In that moment, the future crystallized. The path ahead would not be easy, but it would be walked together. Humanity had faced its trial by fire and emerged transformed. The echo of their victory would resonate through eternity, a testament to the indomitable spirit of a species that had touched the face of infinity and chosen to embrace hope.